Alright folks, I am back with the next How Do I for Grand Tacticians, the Civil War. And what we had just done was get settled into a new campaign. We'd done our policy selection, and I would say that one of the first things that you'll notice is that there is a lot of information that's already come at you. The map is beautiful. I mean, that's just an aside, but it's an absolutely beautiful map. And when you scroll out, you got this artwork all the way around. It's a beautiful map. You got some information up here in the top left. This tells you when we are. And then, all right, field of manpower. That's troops in the field, current treasury, and surplus. I think that's self-explanatory. Credit rating. Yeah. And they'll give you the description, tell you what it is. It matters because it affects the interest rate, and the interest rate affects the budget. And yeah, I mean it's a credit rating. This, again, you can read it. Kind of tells you what you have and what you're using. I never really pay attention to any of that stuff. We got a compass here, very nice compass, and that's some of our information. Bottom right hand corner. Right now we are paused, and we know it's a little afternoon. Right, this is the kind of normal play speed. This is very slow, right? This is ticking through a day, and then you can speed it up. There's going to be a reason to speed it up once you get some stuff out of the way here. This is kind of how the campaign is going, and again, nice artwork, all that other stuff. We have this objective. Okay, how do we do it? It tells you. This is how you win the campaign. Is you got to get Union national morale, this top line here in the center we're going to take a look at, below 25. And that is how it ends. And kind of how you do that is, well, you'll find out once the war gets underway. It's not actually underway yet. Secession has happened in some parts, but not everywhere. And kind of major developments over here, I believe when cities are captured, when states join the Confederacy, I think that's frequently going to be recorded here. I believe that those are mostly what happens. But we can see Arizona, Indian Territory joined us, even though we didn't take the policies that were geared towards the West. We got them. Kansas joined us as a union. There was nothing that could happen to stop that. And we got New Mexico. So we get Arizona, Indian Territory, and New Mexico, and they got Kansas. That's just the way it was going to be. All right, national morale. Again, if you hover over it, it kind of explains what's going on, and then what's really interesting, if you want to get into how do these numbers come about, they'll tell you even below that, and they'll tell you the factors that are weighing on national morale. National support is actually not national support; it's the average of state support, and so whatever states are part of your nation, union or CSA, it takes the average of them. So if you have some states with like support of 100, but other states with support of 65, your national support is going to be, if there are an even number of them, and those are the actual numbers, they're going to be the average. Well, obviously the average of them. So it would probably be, let's see, somewhere in the low 80s, I think, in that hypothetical example. Army morale, it matters when it gets too low, but other things matter as well. I'm not terribly sure how this matters, to be honest, because I've played the Union. If you've watched any of the previous campaigns where I've absolutely demolished the other side's army time after time, and yet their morale is frequently higher than mine. But check the status symbol on the unit panel. All right, so I guess we could find out more if we wanted to. But I think other things affect morale, like whether they're fed, whether they're being forced marched. But there's that. All right, this self-explanatory. This just tells us the size of the. I think it's land forces. Okay, it is all land forces. Navy tonnage, military experience. I did not know that. That more military experience meant more entrenchments. Interesting. Battles won. I don't think I need to explain that. European. It hasn't. Well, we haven't. War hasn't broken out yet, so there's kind of not much to do there. Trade warfare and weapons industry. We're actually ahead at this point, which is a little hard to believe. Industrial power to produce and equip units with improved rifles. Okay. All right, so that might be for other things. All right, that's that. If you want to see your armies, again, there's a ton of information here. And again, this is armies. You have fleets. You have kind of everyone who you could recruit, right? From the lowliest lieutenant to the brigadier general. I don't know that... Oh, you know what? I think I can replace him. Huh. But maybe not right now. Well, I'm not going to do it right now anyways. We'll talk about how to construct armies. I intend for that to be a separate video. This one I just want to run through what is out there. Now you see... So if you see your different armies, I believe the CSA has only 2 that are theoretically mobile. And you see, right, so it's 3 out of 22. And the rest are just going to be garrisons. So, I believe right around here we have the Florida Militia. Yeah, Florida State Militia. And I thought I wasn't able to move them prior to a campaign opening. So I don't know if that's actually true anymore, but... Yeah, okay, so they have changed it so you can't move the armies. The other one is, I believe this is actually Beauregard's South Carolina State Militia. They're over there. And the rest are forts. Without getting out of this, if we wanted to grow Beauregard's militia, we would click on that plus, and there are areas where we can recruit. I don't, as a rule, recruit prior to doing some other stuff because the unit sizes are so small. It doesn't seem like they're worth it. And this tells us our overall number of volunteers. Later on in the war, there is the possibility of drafts, and you can get a lot more troops from them. There are downsides, as there frequently are in this game. But that is how we would go about adding a new type of fighting unit. And if you wanted to add kind of groups under, in this case, I guess it's Chase. All right, in this one, it's Beauregard. And that would effectively give different commanders. Again, the order of battle stuff and building an army, that's going to be its own separate video. Just know that that's the case. So this is showing us our order of battle. And then within the various armies, if we want to look at it this way. So this is everything that Beauregard has. Then this is everything that I think it's Chase has. It's between those 2 sets of dotted lines, and then all of the garrisons on down. Some of these guys look like they are on really long-term duty. But I don't look at this much. But you can be awash in information early on in the game, so at least you know it. We'll go back to the order of battle. This just seems to make a little bit more sense. You can learn about your commander. This is kind of their history line up here. Well, they said there's the history over here, but I would actually say that this is kind of their brief bio in icons. But it's rank, kind of where they came from. All right. All that stuff. And then this tells you kind of how they do. And more stars is better. I would say for the higher up folks in an army, I care more about administration. I care less about cunning and initiative. Wait, let me make sure that's right. Not only cautious, but also incapable. All right. Actually, I might actually like some of these guys with low initiative, but I think all things being equal, it's supposed to be more is better. Actually wondering what leadership is supposed to affect. All right, but for me, I'm looking for a lot of this. I don't really care if you're famous. In fact, I think it's probably more likely to produce a feud, but that's that. For me, administration is probably the most important for those kind of general officers. Maybe some of the ones on the battlefield I'd care more about: cunning, leadership, initiative, and so forth. But that's me, right? Others have different preferences. But I don't do too much with fleets in general. But you can build them. But if I do build fleets, I'll go ahead and I'll make that a different video. And again, all the folks that you might have when thinking of replacing other folks, you could find an entire inventory in there. Finances. I spend quite a bit of time here. Lower interest rates are better. Better credit ratings will usually lead to better interest rates. Though I'll say that that's not always true. I mean, in the campaign I was just in, I think I had double B plus, but my interest rate was under 7%. So it's not always the case. But that's that. I don't know. I find that kind of randomly it goes from expansion to recovery, and I'm not always sure why. But I don't know. You could just read these things. Obviously, you want more wealth rather than less. Your ability to influence that is kind of limited. A lot of this is just FYI. That's also true here on the left ledger of what we do. Right, we don't have corporate taxes yet. We don't have income taxes yet. They are doing some land sales. These are going to change over time. But actually, at this point, we're actually in a treasury surplus. Enjoy it while it lasts, because it isn't going to last long. You can manipulate, I think you can manipulate, these sliders over here. For at least sales tax and tariffs, I don't think there's anything to do for income and corporate taxes because we haven't unlocked them yet. So the last thing on this finances screen, and this is a bigger deal, is what you choose to subsidize. Talk about politics last because it ties in with the next part. All right, I have... Okay, so I didn't read that last clause of the last sentence in here, and so I almost never put any money into it. But since there will be some importing eventually of European arms, at least the Enfield and the Lorenzes, this might be something that's worth looking into. This is... Okay, so this is still broken. At least it is right now, but... Right now they have a... This is rendering in, so you can see this is... It's costing us $400,000 to subsidize that, and it's showing up over here. But what's not showing up is that while we can change this and it changes qualitatively how much we're spending on diplomacy, it's not changing anything over here when we slide it up. I don't think I can recruit. I don't think I can unlock any of the good weapons early on, so I would just slide that down. Industry, I always jack up to the highest it will go, particularly early on in the war. Agriculture, same thing. Transportation, same thing. We got to get it high. Civil order, let me see if I'm remembering this. Loss of state support due to raiding, drafting, combat losses. State support usually is pretty good early on, so I'll save money on that. A CSA, the number of volunteers are not always forthcoming, so I usually put it about in the middle. Trade war, while there's no real blockade going on, or not a very effective one, I'm going to keep it down. As things go on, depending on what the other side does, usually blockades become more effective, and then I'll start pumping more money into trade war. But in earlier versions, these numbers did render in, and they affected the subsidies line, so it is something you want to pay attention to. All right, the last part of this is the politics bit, and you can see that there's options for additional policies, but we haven't talked about policies. You're not going to need any at the beginning. You're not going to have enough policies that you can have done that you're going to need to subsidize more. So I would say at least start with it zeroed out. Now, the policies themselves is this next tab. My advice to you on your own time is read through these. Just hover over them, understand that, the policies themselves tend to be in straight lines, kind of straight lines one above the other. So this is the finance, this is the agriculture, agriculture, crops, all that other stuff. Industrialization is here, military is here, and then diplomacy is here. And then you can see that there are other policies that branch off from them, and then in the case of one set of acts, so if it's not a policy, it's an act, and it will usually tell you in the title, usually, right? So an act is not a policy. But over here, in the top left of this, it tells us that we have 0 policies out of 5. So if we went back to the finances and we subsidize 5 war, it would tell us that our max is 10. There's no reason to pay for these because you're not gonna be able to select them. When you click on them, they do not immediately give you anything. They tell you in parentheses kind of how long it's going to take. My advice is do one at a time because they will happen earlier and then you can move on. So this doesn't take long at all. The Militia Act takes 10 days. If I were to add this as well, it would, I believe, make both of these longer to research. And I think in total, it seemed like it would actually take more time. I'm not sure if that's true. So that was 10 days. Now what happens if I click on this? So this now, instead of taking 10 days, takes 21.5 days. And this is now going to take 53 days. Whereas if I'd done them individually, they would have taken 35 days, one after the other. By choosing to do them at the same time, it's actually just going to take longer than doing them at once. So do them one at a time. Again, unless you want things to go through slower, but I can't help you there. All right, so we're going to choose the Militia Act first. That's just the way I do it. It allows recruitment of volunteer units on 1-year contracts. So better than 90 days or something like that. Also, if you forget what policies the two sides have, they're up here. So we're up against Kansas, a free state, good policy. Industrialization, a good policy. Indian War, a terrible policy. And we have a very good, an excellent, and a quality one here. So that's all running. And that's all we're going to do for right now. Even though we don't have a policy, because this is an act, not a policy, and you'll see why we really want to, I want to get these recruitment terms up pretty early. And then I'll do some of the military stuff, and this might take much of the first 6 months. Then I think I'll do the diplomacy 1, and I'll probably won't touch it again after that. And then I'll start looking to develop industry and agriculture longer term. But we got to find our military footing early on. All right, these next 2 tabs are super cool and informational, but I don't think there's too much for you to do. It's all kind of FYI. Now, I don't need everyone. I would just take a look at what we have, but I want to take a look at all of what we have. So that's why I select all, but it's just on the Confederacy, and we're not going to sort it by anything else. But it tells you, I mean, if you like data and all that stuff, it tells you everything that's going on. I'm not too sure. I guess just some things are just really good, and others are not. But once we get into this, you'll be able to see how these change over time. And I believe that these are affected by choices you made in-game and territory you control and other things. So it's really neat. And then finally, the trade tab. Again, this feels like it's really neat. You got a lot of information on all this good stuff. As you click through them, you can see that the prices aren't changing yet because we haven't done much. So they're all flatlined. And they will compare us versus the other side, in this case, the Union. But it tells you, right, how much is being made, how much is already there. It might be useful information, right? So, starting, there's no demand for artillery because we're not building them yet. Yet 75 pieces are being produced, and there are 2,300 pieces in stock. So there's a lot of artillery hanging out, and anything else that I'd want to know like that? Small arms ammunition. I don't know what they mean by pieces. I don't know if they mean rounds or what, but weapons. All right, so I guess we're just treating weapons as weapons. 755 being produced. There's no demand yet, and there are 23,000 in stock. So, all right, that's that. And I think that's going to do it for this video. It was just the overview of stuff to keep an eye on. Maybe before I conclude, I'll say that there actually is a little bit more to this. It's not in here. I don't think any of this should have changed. No, good. No, what we'd actually want to take a look at is map information settings. So you got to click to bring this up. I want to know supply lines. I want to know everything we can know. Map borders, yes. Map text, sure. Ready control, all right. Telegraph lines don't. Okay, so now they do actually show up. In previous versions, I wasn't seeing them show up, but I think that the devs noted that they fixed it, and it looks like they certainly have. So that information is there. The field book. All right, that's kind of the other how-to stuff. All right, so that... Wait a minute, what's this? Okay. I guess if we were scrolled in and wanted to come out, that's how we would do it. But I guess we can't zoom in while this is selected. Yeah. All right, now that is everything I want to do for this video. In the next one, so we have our policy set. We're going to be doing quite a bit of fast forwarding. And so I'm probably just going to take you to what I did. And when the war breaks out, then we're going to build armies. So we'll go through how you do that, some of the things you want to think about. Yeah, we'll take it from there.